my name is Marcello, and all of us from TSAV would like to welcome you to the Source Audio Video Design Group's YouTube channel. Welcome back to those joining us again, and thank you for your continued support. On this channel, we will discuss home audio and video, personal audio, home theater, home automation, and speak with some of the movers and shakers in the music and hi-fi industry. So please consider subscribing today to show your support and ring the bell icon to get notified of future live streams and videos. Today I will share my impressions of HeadAmp's Flagship GS X Mark II headphone amplifier. This video will focus on the build quality, design, and some of my sound impressions about the GS X Mark II paired with 6 different headphones fed by my Core TT2 as the DAC. Stay tuned for a future live stream with Justin and his team from HeadAmp, and don't forget to subscribe today and click that bell icon to know when that live stream is ready to drop. Other than HeadAmp, the Source AV is the only authorized dealer of HeadAmp products in the USA, which can be found on our TSAV website in the video description below and for demo at our headphone bar and showroom in Torrance, California. The GS X Mark II's dual mono headphone amp preamp, currently offered in 8 colors, uses 4 Dynalo amplifier modules based on a discrete design by Kevin Gilmore, a circuit that has evolved over 15 years. According to HeadAmp, when the GS X Mark II is paired with its included power supply, the modules can output up to 23 peak-to-peak voltage at 100 ohms, 21 VPP at 25 ohms, and 16 VPP at 10 ohms. When running headphones via the balance outputs, these voltages are doubled. The GS X Mark II pushes up to 6 watts of Class A power into balanced headphones, allowing it to drive nearly all headphones with ease, including current-hungry planar magnetic headphones, and it still is usable with IEMs due to its quiet design. On the front of the GS X Mark II, you have the preamp switch, which when turned on, the preamp, XLR, and RCA outputs are enabled. You then have the gain switch, which allows you to set the amount of amplification you desire, such as low for IEMs and sensitive headphones, and medium and high gain for harder to drive headphones. The GS X Mark II has a balanced output for headphones with a 4-pin XLR, a left single-ended and a right single-ended combo jacks with a 1/4 inch in the center for use with headphones wired with 1/4 inch TRS plugs for stereo use. You also can use a 3-pin XLR output for headphones wired with separate left and right plugs for balanced listening. The amplifier uses a precise 24-step attenuator for volume control that has a slight resistance to turn but feels lightweight overall when turning. Next, you have the input switch on the front of the amplifier, which allows you to set the input for RCA1, XLR, or RCA2. To drive headphones or utilize the preamp with actual balance output, the XLR input must be used. On the back panel of the GS X Mark II, you will find 3 stereo inputs, an XLR for balanced and 2 RCA. The loop outputs allow you to pass the input signal onto another part of your system with 1 XLR and 1 RCA. Lastly, you have the preamp outputs including 1 XLR and 1 RCA, which are great for connecting to power speakers or a speaker amplifier for passive speakers. Although you will see the units stacked on top of each other for much of this video to save space and present the GS X Mark II, you most definitely want to place the power supply and amplifier side by side or on separate shelves with plenty of ventilation. If you attempt to stack the amplifier on top of the power supply, you will increase the noise floor and not allow proper ventilation. The power supply should never be placed on top of the amplifier. Overall, I'm pleased with the build quality of the GS X Mark II, with a few things that stood out to me that could be a little better at this price. The amplifier is very lightweight, which could be a positive for some users. However, when plugging in a power cord, the included power umbilical cord, and removing or inserting interconnect cables, I found the amplifier was quickly moved and pulled out of place. Not a big deal if you're going to set it up and never move it or connect new gear, but I wanted to mention it. The included power cord is extremely short, and it doesn't feel like it matches the level of quality and sound the GS X Mark II can output. So if you are thinking about purchasing the excellent sounding headamp, I would set aside some money for an upgraded high current power cord. Clarus makes some incredible interconnects, power cords, and power conditioning options that will help to improve the performance of the GS X Mark II and all of your other connected audio components. I will link to a few of them in the video description. Okay, so let's talk about how the GS X Mark II sounds. Highly transparent, precise staging, superb detail, unfatiguing with the right headphones, with a profound black background. Honestly, I wasn't expecting the amplifier to sound as good as it does after feeling how lightweight it was when I set it up on my audio rack. The GS X Mark II presents the sound of your DAC and the sound signature of your headphones with no coloration to my ears. Compared to my reference headphone amplifier and DAC, the Core TT2, the headphone amplifier of the TT2 presents some coloration to the music compared to the neutral, transparent GSX Mark II. Using the TT2 as the DAC feeding the head amp was spectacular. It allowed me to hear exactly how the headphones and the DAC were performing in my system, for better or for worse. The head amp is not colored but extraordinarily balanced and neutral to my ears. You will not tame bright headphones with the GSX Mark II, but you shouldn't make them sound any brighter than their sound signature was designed to sound. If you are looking for a headphone amplifier that allows you to hear the difference between your audio components and is quiet enough for headphones and IEMs, this amplifier is one you must consider. For my sound impressions with the 6 pairs of headphones I listen to with the GSX Mark II, I utilize my Core TT2 as the DAC balanced into the head amp and listen to some of my favorite tracks via room. Starting first with the LCD5, my flagship reference headphones, listening to Chris Ray's The Road to Hell, I am immediately struck by too much upper mid-range. The neutrality of the GSX Mark II on top of the neutrality with some serious upper mid-range bite from the LCD5, and the analytical sound of Filter 1 from the TT2 wasn't the best synergy from an audio gear perspective for this song and my preferences. Listening next to Pink Floyd Time, and this was much more impressive. The sense of space and depth of the soundstage of the LCD5 with the GSX Mark II was stunning to hear. Every drum hit seemingly danced across the soundstage effortlessly, pulling me into this legendary song. The electric guitar could sound a bit harsh during some points on the recording due to the forward upper mid-range of the LCD5, reminding me of why I like the LCD5 off of warmer amps or tube amps. Switching the TT2 to Filter 4 seemed to help take a bit of the edge off, but I would still lean towards a warmer solid state or tube amp for the LCD5 for my personal preferences. I'm waiting for Audeze to drop their Rune EQ profile for the LCD5, primarily if they address the upper mid-range bite and add a bit of bass shelf. If they do, I could see the GSX Mark II with its exceptional soundstage accuracy paired with the resolution of the LCD5 being a great combo. Without EQ or tone control, even with the warmer filters from the TT2, the Audeze LCD5 pairing was just too analytical sounding for me with the GSX Mark II. Utilizing a smoother, less analytical, warmer leaning DAC from AKM or another manufacturer, if EQ or tone control is not your thing, could also potentially help with the LCD5 pairing. Moving next to the Meze Elite with hybrid pads, listening to Lana Del Rey, Born to Die. This is a step in the right direction with the GSX Mark II. The Elite soundstage sounds airy and Lana's vocals float above my head, pulling me back into the music. Switching to the Alcantara pads of the Elite and Warm Filter 4 on the TT2 is the sweet spot for this track with the Meze Elite and the head amp, giving a more natural analog sound with less upper mid-range presence. Knowing that I prefer the Warm Filter 4 of the TT2 with the head amp and the Alcantara pads, I queued up The Last Samurai's film score, A Hard Teacher by Hans Zimmer. Beautiful. Every string pluck is defined brilliantly, with the wind instrument sounding effortless as the drums begin to build in the background. I'm now starting to analyze less and just beginning to enjoy the music. Synergy is everything. The analytical filter of the TT2 plus the hybrid pads of the Elite, amplified by the GSX Mark II, were forcing me to analyze the music and at some points pulled me out of enjoying the music. Listening next to the Thin Red Line, Light from Hans Zimmer, now that I have achieved system matching, thanks to the Elite's Alcantara pads, TT2 Filter 4, and the head amp's clean amplification, I'm ready to put my pen and notes away and melt into the music. Moving on to the headphone from Head Audio, which was a combo I was looking forward to as I felt this headphone amplifier sonically would mesh very well with the head. I decided to stay with Filter 4 on the TT2, starting with Deportation from the Babel soundtrack. The strings have exceptional speed and definition. The soundstage sounds magnificent, with the strings appearing out of thin air, gently flowing back into the darkness, only to reappear again with lifelike images. Listening next to Lingus from Snarky Puppy, and the brass instruments along with the drums and cymbals bring up positive emotion and oxytocin as I'm listening. I begin bobbing my head and tapping my toes until I realize I'm wearing the 700 plus gram headphone and I wasn't planning on doing any neck exercises today. So I keep tapping my feet instead and I jam with this combo. The soundstage sounds open and airy with excellent imaging and good soundstage width. This combo may be the most exciting I have ever heard from the head. Very impressive. One more track with the head, listening to Yellow Jackets XL Downtown. I said I wouldn't do neck exercises, but I was wrong. The head in the GS X Mark II have me bobbing my head and tapping my foot. The brass instruments sound brilliant, and the piano keys timbre is spot on with the cymbals and drums keeping the pace and the rhythm. The speed of the HeadAmp and the headphone is just a great match. Moving into the dynamic driver headphones, starting with the Focal Stellia, listening to Crosby, Stills and Nash's Guinevere, and the vocal reproduction on this track is superb. Great image definition and soundstage accuracy present a really uncolored version of the Stellia that is very enjoyable with the HeadAmp Focal combo. Listening to the Who's Behind Blue Eyes, the Stellia sounds more open and spacious than I'm used to hearing on the TT2 headphone amplifier, with the vocals being presented beautifully and accurately on the soundstage. As I listen, I understand that the GS X Mark II is one of the better solid-state amps I have heard from a soundstage accuracy, imaging, and black background perspective. Listening next to the Focal Clear MG that we recently presented on this YouTube channel, and a few different tracks. Oyo Como Va from Santana, Can't You Hear Me Knocking from the Rolling Stones, and Ricky Don't Lose That Number from Steely Dan, the Clear MG sounds open and precise with no additional coloration being added to the already darker bass-heavy sound signature of the Clear MG. This amplifier pairs sonically well with the Clear MG and likely other darker leaning bass-heavy headphones such as the Meze Empyrean. The bass on the Clear MG is well controlled, sounding tighter and better defined than the majority, if not all, the headphone amplifiers I gave my impressions on the Clear MG video. I will link the Clear MG video for you to check out at the end of this video. If you are a Focal Clear MG or OG owner and you can visit our showroom, I think the GS X Mark II is a pairing worth hearing. Lastly, listening to the Sennheiser HD800S with a HeadAmp to a few different artists and tracks, including Supertramp, The Logical Song, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, and Nils Fromm, No. 2, and this combo allows for spectacular imaging, very open and deep sound staging, and excellent overall vocal placement and tone. However, like the LCD5, I feel the HD800S requires, for my preferences, a warmer leaning amplifier, and for the best sound, in my experience, a highly euphonic tube amplifier due to the Sennheiser's exacting analytical sound signature. To conclude my impressions of the HeadAmp GS X Mark II flagship headphone amplifier, I find it one of the most transparent headphone amplifiers I have heard without the glare that cheaper made and designed headphone amplifiers being sold online present. For my preferences, I think the GS X Mark II pairs best with warmer or darker leaning headphones and or a warmer, less analytical DAC than my core TT2 to find the sound synergy that allows me to get lost in the music. However, for analyzing the differences between audio components and reviewing the subtle sound differences between headphones and source components, the GS X Mark II may be one of the most transparent, clean windows to see clearly and deeply into my favorite recordings that I have ever heard. My favorite pairings of headphones I heard in the house were the Meze Elite with Alcantara pads, the headphone from Head Audio, and the Focal Clear MG. These pairings were excellent and synergized well with my TT2 on Warm Filter 4 and the HeadAmp. All of us from TSAV hope you enjoy this video presentation of my experiences with the HeadAmp GS X Mark II headphone amplifier, and the information we shared helps you determine if it might be a good fit for you. If you are in the greater Los Angeles region or just looking to make a trip to hear the GS X Mark II and all the other HeadAmp amplifiers, our TSAV 10,000 square foot showroom and headphone bar have one of the largest selections of personal audio amplifiers and audio enthusiast headphones to listen to in the country. In the description below, I will link to our website and more info on the GS X Mark II and other audio gear discussed during this video. What do you think of the GS X Mark II headphone amplifier? Let us know in the comments below and show your support today by smashing the like button for us and subscribing for more new upcoming content. Until next time, friends, always remember, let the music be your guide.